welcome to Cabinet Noir. We're here with Eddie. He's going to take us a tour through the store. We're going to talk about some of the brands that he's got available here. And I guess the transition in between his old store, which was the first one, and then now in the 2.0, in this beautiful store, in this beautiful setting. And we'll just take a little wander. So I just wanted to talk about the store a little bit. The transition between your old store and the inspiration behind this. So I guess the other one was a little bit more, I guess, sort of vintage vibes and all that kind of stuff. What was the transition?
So the elements we went with the new one, because the Cabinet Noir one was all wood. You know, the name Black Room, Cabinet Noir means black room in French. Yeah. That's kind of like the theme that we took for the first store and also this one here. With the second store, we want to use the element of concrete. There's a lot of still industrial with that sort of industrial feel, steel and concrete. But that grayscale is kind of like the idea behind the aesthetic of the new store.
Yeah, beautiful.
And this also gives us an opportunity to rebrand Cabinet Noir. We just did a new logo, rebranding the new direction of the store as well.
Yeah, you still carried a couple of your older brands, but then you brought in some new ones. Well, what are the new ones and stuff?
So I'll look at our business like a fine dining restaurant, like a 3 Michelin star restaurant. Yeah, that's how I like to think of it. Where there's core menu that becomes your signature dish, right? And that's kind of like the brands that we carried on to the second store as well. Brands like Stone Island, Comme des Garçons, those Human Made, those are kind of like the brands that we, it becomes like our signature. We were one of the earliest stores to actually bring them into the market. And and then we like to introduce different emerging designer brands. For us, it's more exciting to be able to tell these new and upcoming brands, tell consumers, hey, this is cool, allows us to tell more stories, I guess. We just don't give every local brands this platform. We want them to kind of like earn it too.
What's one of your most sort of standout brands at the moment that you're finding that is quite innovative? And I guess you can get that brand where it's they move away from just staples and then just come out with like those real hero amazing pieces.
Found this brand called Kaiser Clark, which is probably one of the best up and coming designers out of LA.
Yeah, wow.
We start seeing a lot of celebrity wearing their pieces, just amazing. Their marketing is on point. The quality is really good.
Yep.
But most importantly, the guys behind the brand, they're just so nice to deal with.
Yeah.
And we became such good friends. We support each other. Those are the kind of people I want to support because I'm not just supporting the brand's product, but I'm supporting the personalities behind it.
Yeah.
In the last 6-7 years that we've been working, there's a lot of like brands that we're kind of proud of bringing into the market. For example, we're the first store in Australia bringing Gosha-Brzezinski, 424, Stamped, even Off-White. We were the first store to bring Off-White in. Wow. Public School, to name a few, and there's Martin Rose, Helmut Lang. And we're so proud of bringing those brands to the market. And then there's more brands that we want to bring into the market and still haven't. We felt like their stories need to be told. Of course. We don't work with some of the brands that I mentioned anymore because we felt like, hey, they're pretty much going global and they've made established their names already. Yeah. And now it's gives us more opportunity to kind of introduce newer, emerging, up-and-coming brands or brands that are already big, but our market hasn't really developed understanding of the brands yet.
How did you approach the brands? Did you cold call them, or did you actually kind of build a long relationship? Or
so at the beginning, we have to email them. So we have to say, we have to pitch our stores. Like we have to give them our direction, make sure they like the aesthetic of the store, make sure our brand, like we carrying this, the brands that are high-end enough for them to sit next to. But then like if you're a new store and you don't have many cool brands, it's kind of like chicken and the egg situation. We're like, well, I need this brand to carry that brand, but then that brand wants you to carry that brand already. So it's very difficult. So, a lot of my suggestion would have a nice, some sort of like presentation, if you like the direction you're going, what sort of brands you want to carry. And then most brands will be receptive to that and they'll be, they'll be okay for you to carry brands. For us, it's more about finding that niche brands and building a relationship. Because, when we carry a brand, we just don't want to have a one-season relationship. We want it to be like an ongoing, a long term, have some sort of longevity. You know, we've got brands like Maison Kitsune on this side, which is they're from France, but they operate like a small independent brand. We just love dealing with those guys. You know, the whole team of Kitsune. It's just amazing to deal with. You know, self-made from Italy, another brand that you need to keep an eye out. Our favorite brand, Undercover from Japan. You know, Undercover is they do amazing pieces.
Yeah, it's amazing. Oh wow, look at that print.
You know,
it's beautiful.
And Jun Takahashi, one of my favorite designers. I've got Undercover tattoo on my leg.
Yeah.
You know,
there's distributors, and then there's people that you would deal with directly.
Yeah.
Majority of the time, the people that are in the with a distributor, is that a little bit harder to deal with because, finding that contact, I guess, of what brands they hold and stuff. I think. So
the way it works is, in our business and our industry, it's a little bit different to the Australian scene, because in Australia you generally deal with distributors, but with our brands we deal directly with the brands. So we go to their showroom in Paris. So they handle the global distribution themselves. And that's why we do Paris Fashion Week twice a year, to go directly to their head office and showrooms. Yeah.
Do they show much of their sort of, work around it, so that's what it's inspired by from that certain collection?
Mostly what they do, the designer will guide you through the collection, what inspired them to create this collection, and every season has a different inspiration. And that's kind of again, going back to that sort of, I love that gastronomy analogy, having the chef coming out, telling you how it's cooked, where the ingredients from, and that's kind of having the designers telling you about the collection. So for me, it's very, very important. Then I can communicate that through to my clients, my customers as well. Because at the end of the day, we're not just selling products, we're selling emotional attachment to it, right? So when you're selling emotions to the customers, they feel a different feeling to, they feel happy, they feel proud of wearing what it is because they know what it is. Most of the pieces that I just love, I just end up buying it straight away. I've been waiting for 6 months because I saw it in the showroom, so I just thanks for, and when they find it rough, I just have to cop it. What we're seeing with a lot of boutiques, they all look the same. Aesthetically they all look different, but in terms of brand placements and all that, they're just doing the same thing. They're carrying the same brands, and they're just not providing enough different experience. And for us, we want to use this as an art gallery. So we use this space for an art gallery. We have the Takeover project, which we'll be launching this year, which allows different brands to kind of come in and do a full activation, and we do in-house parties and launch parties and so on. So we want to use this platform as many things as you can. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, that's really good, because then that involves the community, and I feel like that's what people follow the brand for. They have a sense of sort of purpose to go to the store and enjoy themselves, not just for the clothes. It's for you guys, the staff, and then everyone, and then the person that's creating the activation to do it in a retail space feels actually quite different. Usually it's a gallery or just an empty spot where someone would do a pop up or something.
That's why, on our tag now, we're called Undefined Concept Store. We want to move away from that blueprint of this is what a concept store should do or should function. You know what? We're gonna change things up. So we want to do different ways, and community is a key word. You mentioned that. We feel like community is what drives us forward. Community is what's supporting our business, and especially being in Perth, we have a strong sense of community here. There's so many little bubbles, but relatively we're all in one single bubble, and so that's a massive support of this whole Perth city, which I'm so proud of. You can't really replicate that in Melbourne or Sydney.
No, you can't.
There's different scenes out. Right. I'm sure there's different bubbles and communities there, but it's not as there's. Here, it's everyone's together. The whole movement, everyone's so proud of it. Because I guess we're a small town, maybe we're the most isolated city in the world. So it's kind of drives us to kind of, trying to launch our local brands or local business. So
definitely feel that.
That's amazing.
No, definitely feel the isolation is what drives us all with all sort of pressure, and that's how diamonds are made. So